And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Wednesday, May 28th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down Game 5, Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves, likely the final game of the Western Conference Finals, although we'll see. You never know. But OKC entering this game 8.5-point favorites. So not exactly likely we see another Western Conference Finals game. Let me unzoom a little bit. That's better. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Yesterday, we got the Pacers picking up the dub against the Knicks, going up 3-1. Unsurprisingly, I might add. That series is over, I believe. Knicks defense, not going to get it done. They just aren't. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. This was always going to be the outcome when Karl Anthony Towns is your center. That's just what you're going to end up with. The Pacers were 19 of 25 inside 4 feet yesterday. That's 76%. They can't stop them from getting to the rim, and they can't stop them when they do. And spoiler alert, a lot of that falls on Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah. What a Mathurin game, who, played well and not well at the exact same time. It was a really interesting one. He drew fouls on 5 possessions in a row, basically. It was very bizarre. 20 points on 13 true shot attempts. He was 10 for 11 from the field, 5 of 6, or 10 for 11 from the line, 5 of 8 from the field. It was nuts. It was nuts. He drew 3 shooting fouls from 2. He had an and one. Picked up 5 points off the assist. You just got the Benedict Mathurin heater in 12 and a half minutes because every single time he touched the ball, he just got fouled over and over and over again. It was crazy. Actually, can we look at that? The possession by possession stuff is here. God, when was that? When was Mathurin on late? Late third, early fourth. I guess it was probably that stretch at the beginning of the fourth, but maybe the late third. Let's scroll back and see if we can find it. Does this break up quarters in a way that I can see it quickly? Kinda. Time does. All right, where is it at? Brunson. Okay. When does Mathurin check in? Checks in at the 123 mark of the third. So he checks in right here. Subs in. 1 second later, Mathurin makes a layup, fouled by Brunson, makes his free throw. Then Halliburton comes down, makes a 3. Knicks make a bucket. 20 seconds left. Brunson fouls Mathurin again. 2 free throws. McBride takes the 3. We're back in. We close out the quarter. Then, within very little time, OG Anunoby gets a personal foul with 8 minutes left. Then Josh Hart picks up another foul 7 seconds later. Towns picks up a foul 2 seconds later. And then Josh Hart picks up a foul 3 seconds later on Mathurin. So that is foul 7 seconds. Foul 2 seconds. Foul 3 seconds. Over and over and over again. And then you get Mathurin. Mathurin then takes a pretty bad 3 That wasn't good. But that was the stretch where it was just foul after foul after foul, and Mathurin was getting them all. It was nuts to watch. But ultimately, I do believe this series is over. I got a really hard time believing they're going to get back in this, especially to win 3 straight. That seems incredibly difficult. They did get into their offense a little bit faster off of misses this time. But, I mean, the Pacers are just running on everything as fast as they can. They scored 29 points on 14 possessions off of missed twos. Anytime the Knicks missed a shot inside the 3-point line, the Pacers were gone. The moment they acquired that ball, they were gone. They were pushing into anything. It didn't matter what the matchup was. It didn't matter who was picking up who. They were just going and figuring it out later, and it could not have worked much more. They scored over 2 points per possession anytime the Knicks missed inside the 3-point line. They're just they're not able to get back and stop them in transition. It was not good. It was really not good. Just a track meet. And the Knicks can't keep up. Fun game to watch. I thought it was going to get close. But it got to that little spot late in the 4th, and then they just slammed the door. It was a fun game. We did get a little DeLon Wright again. We did get some Landry Shamet again. Not things I would have ever expected in game 5 of a real playoff series. Part of me thinks that Tibbs pre-programmed his rotations before the season started and then accidentally sorted the date column the wrong way. Because now that he's playing Precious and DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet in these games, they couldn't play 16 minutes a game in February and January. When everybody's around. Obviously, I know some of these guys were playing bigger minutes, but that was without bodies. You want to try to get these guys a couple more minutes during the regular season to prepare for situations like this, instead of just dusting off Landry Shamet like he's been playing basketball? Let's think about it here for a second. Shamet's played 11 minutes in the previous 2 games. And yeah, did he pick some up down the stretch a little bit? Sure. Were people in and out of the lineups at that point? Yeah. Like this game, for instance, when Landry Shamet played 40 minutes. Well, Mikal Bridges subbed out after a 10th of a second, and the rest of that game was played by PJ Tucker, Precious Achiuwa, Cam Payne, and the rest of the idiots. So that wasn't even a real game. You had the opportunity to really get these guys real playing time, and they just opted out of it. I'll never get it. I mean, Tibbs was always going to get out-coached infinite. That was never up for debate. Regardless of what we want to say about rotations or whatever, he was always going to get dog-walked by Rick Carlisle in this series. There was no real way around that. Those guys have never been on the same plane. You need Tibbs to raise your floor, you're going to have a real successful time. You want to take a team that's like a 30-win team and turn them into a 40-win team, organize them a bit more, you're going to do that. I'm not sure Tibbs is the guy to squeeze it out of you when you get to the tippy top. But I do believe that series is over. And I do believe that this series is over. Which means if Oklahoma City wins today and the Pacers win tomorrow, we don't have basketball for a while. Because the first game of the NBA Finals is June 5th. And that is not moving no matter what happens in any of these series. So if OKC wins today and the Pacers win on Thursday, we don't have any basketball for a week. So, like, part of me wants the Knicks to win today, or the Wolves to win today, and for the Knicks to win tomorrow so that we get basketball on Friday and Saturday. But as of right now, I guess I shouldn't even say that. The most likely scenario is the Knicks win tomorrow. They're 5-point favorites. I continue to think that these lines have been pretty wild. But yeah, technically, the most likely scenario is that we get Pacers-Knicks on Saturday. Emwald, there is no week off in that scenario for me. I just need to find something to do at that point. You'd be surprised to know that when we don't have sports, it's harder to pay the bills. But yeah, the first game of the finals is Thursday, June 5th, and that date is set in stone. So maybe we'll have to look at this game today and think, how can we get the Minnesota Timberwolves to win? All right, I'll ask the question, but I assume everybody's on the same page here. If I ask who wins today, I'm guessing we're all on Oklahoma City. Hard not to be. 8.5-point line in Oklahoma City. I ran some sims before we got started. I'm going to export these bad boys so that I could put them in my Excel workbook instead. Which I guess I'm going to have to figure out how to share, but that's a problem for 10 minutes from now and not right now. Let me paste these into my workbook and figure out, what do I have right now if the slate were to lock in the next couple minutes? Ooh, a lot of duplicates, that's for sure. That's a very short lineup pool. All right, let's see what we have. Yeah, the dupes are nuts right now. All right, let's see if I could... How can I share this? It's not going to look great, but it'll serve its purpose. All right. If I do this and this and this and this is going to be not zoomed in correct. Okay, I could actually work with that. All right. I ran my sims. These are the exposures that just popped out right now. I can make that even bigger. Boop. Boop. Oh, perfect. That's what spit out for me right now on DraftKings. An absolute jamming of Ant at the captain. 40% for a 18% owned guy in the captain spot. I got 32% of Shea, which is a little north of the field. And then pretty neutral to Jalen Williams. Light on Chet, though. Chet right now is the 4th most owned captain. That I don't have. I'm a little neutral there. It's a big, big, big stand on Ant. It's a big stand on Shea. Lesser stands on Wiggins, who we're going to have a conversation about. Cason Wallace and Mike Conley. Fades to McDaniels, Randle, Reed, and Hartenstein. Now, let's talk through what some of that could mean. Because let's start with the one that I'm guessing most people will be interested in. And that's going to be Aaron Wiggins, who I think is a very interesting option for today. Probably have him over projected, considering he didn't play a single second last time out. I think we kind of need to assume that he does play today, or at least can play today. But, I mean, these rotations have been weird. We've seen very limited run out of Isaiah Hartenstein so far. Obviously, you don't expect many changes for Chet or Shea or J-Dub. Dort's in and out. He's going to end up around like that 28 to 32 minute range. But They can move him around. They could hot swap him for Case and Wallace. We got 33 and a half minutes out of Alex Caruso last time out. Don't know if that necessarily has to happen in a 3-1 game. And that's part of the reason why I think we do see Wiggins rotations today. Being up 3-1 affords you the opportunity to like be a little more loose with your rotation. Sorry, I'm uncomfortable in my seat. But like they have some playing time to go around. I don't think they need to go 33 and a half minutes to Caruso today. Like even if that's 28, there's 5 that you can drop onto Aaron Wiggins. You know, Case and Wallace doesn't have to play 28. Kenrich Williams doesn't have to play at all, although it seems like he would. But I do find Wiggins to be interesting today. Because right now, I probably gave him more minutes than I should have to start the day. He's currently projected for 5% ownership. But if you don't sort of allocate a couple minutes to him, you start to create situations where the Oklahoma City guys might be like, you like them all, which leads me to believe that he's going to be playing. But he is also very live to not play again. We're looking at the box score right now. This is the game flow from Popcorn Machine for game 4. No Aaron Wiggins to be found. In the blowout, game before that, -6, 7 minutes. You know, everybody else got the shit kicked out of him. So I expect him to get a rotation. Especially because Dagnall is sort of the opposite of Tibbs in that I don't think he wants to keep guys buried. Like he's going to play situations. And I think he's just as likely to pop back up here and play a couple minutes. But we'll see. You know, we got to pay attention to betting markets, see if he gets any prop markets put up anywhere, see where the money's coming in to, you know, see if anything here supports it. But at 10:20 a.m., I'm at least intrigued that the flat 1K Aaron Wiggins, who burned people last time out, does he just get slept on and now today's the day? Feels like it. Or at least feels like it could be the day. Yeah, these are the exposures that I pulled if I had to play right now. It's probably easier to just talk through it like this. Got McDaniels wrong last time out. He had a really nice game. To be fair, he had it in the way that I would expect him to have it. But he was not a guy that I was a fan of. But 22 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 4 steals, and a block. It's those 5 stock games you gotta pray you don't run into. 3 of 6 from 3 is massive. That's a really good game. And, you know, defensively, he's going to be there. But you got to hope for those days where he has 0 steals and 0 blocks like he did on Saturday. 1 steal, 1 block like he did on Tuesday. Because those are the days that'll keep him in check. And heading back to OKC, this does not strike me as a Jaden McDaniels game. Like a 4-steal game in Oklahoma City today as 8-point dogs feels like a lot. And if I think Oklahoma City is going to win this game, I don't think that McDaniels is going to have a good one to support it. So he's a guy that I'm happy to be most under the field on. He is my biggest fade to start the day, and that is completely in line with where I would want to be for this spot. The guy that I'm second most under on, though, is Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, Greg was on Hartenstein heading into game 4. He still didn't get the minutes that you would need. But it's not like they meant bad. Like, for the game, it's not like they got destroyed in his minutes or anything like that. let's see, where's he at for the series? All right, so today is the 28th, and this is game 5, so 26, 24, 22, the 20th. I should just try to remember that. Hartenstein in this series so far. Let's try playoffs instead of regular season. He's played 81 minutes, minus 27 for the series, which is not ideal. Let's take a look at the team stats. Scoring 106 points per 100 possessions. Team hasn't been shooting great in that time. They've actually generated good shots. They just haven't gone in. Defensively, 121 defensive rating. However, Minnesota's shooting 41.5% from 3 in the 81 minutes that Hartenstein has played. That is wildly unsustainable. They have gotten good shots, but they have been a little bit better at making them. Ultimately, I don't feel like Isaiah Hartenstein is about to fall into more minutes today, but it does give me pause when he is like just at or right under 20% owned, because he can play more minutes. If Minnesota is struggling to make any shots, his defensive rebounding would be massive. If OKC is struggling to make some shots, it's not out of the realm of possibility his offensive rebounding can save him there. So you can see the path. I mean, he's ultra talented, but I'm not so sure this series is made for him, especially because it seems like defensively they're fine when he's not out there. And that a lot of that has to do with the fact that Minnesota has too many dudes that are one way. You're not threatened by Mike Conley at all on offense, other than the fact that he's going to organize their team better. You're not threatened at all by Rudy Gobert on offense. You're not threatened by Jaden McDaniels, although he's like, you can't just avoid him, but he's a guy you avoid. Let's be clear here. 16% usage on the season, 56% true shooting, 33% from 3. Just in case you're not a big believer in those numbers, 16% usage last year, 57% true shooting, 34% from 3. That's not a lot of usage, slightly below average efficiency. 33 or 34% from 3 is well below average. So you're not worried about Conley. You're not worried about Gobert. You're not worried about Jaden McDaniels on offense. It means that you don't need as much out of Isaiah Hartenstein. So that's another guy that I'm just not at all concerned with playing or not playing, as the case may be. You know, similarly, we have Naz Reed on the opposite side. A guy that I've got a pretty sizable fade on. A guy that I don't really like in this series. Now, that's a little bit different. They've been fine in Naz Reed's minutes. Where's that tab? Nope, that's not it. There's a through the looking glass view for you guys. 98 minutes for Naz Reed so far in this series. They've been relatively neutral. Unsurprisingly, the offense has been great. 120.5 points per 100 possessions. Fine shooting from 3. They're generating better shots. They've gone in with no issues. But they're also giving up 121 points per 100 possessions defensively. Not necessarily on the back of amazing shooting, but they are giving up significantly better shots. We're looking at 56% shot quality data when Naz Reed is on the floor. No one should be surprised by that. Not a good defender. Not even resembling a good defender. But if we're talking about effective field goal percentage, in the playoffs. Where did it go? How did I lose that? Why is Basketball Reference being weird? Used to be able to just like group select. I don't know why it wouldn't do that. League average effective field goal percentage through the playoffs so far is like 52.5%, 53%, 56% generated so far with Naz Reed on the floor. So I don't have a ton of Naz Reed. He's one of my bigger fades. Again, I'm happy with that, because I think that they're going to hemorrhage a little bit more, at least defensively. It makes me want to have more of OKC the more Naz Reed plays. And then I'm light on Julius Randle. I don't think anybody's like clamoring to defend Julius Randle in this series. He had a monster. Was that game 1, game 2? I can't remember which game he was exceptional, but hasn't been happening over the past few, that's for sure. Now, they've been neutral in his 126 minutes. And the Edwards, McDaniels, Conley, Gobert, Randle lineup is actually plus 19 in the 45 minutes they've played together so far this series. But I just don't think they have the right pieces to do anything here. Not to mention just the overall talent level isn't there. It just isn't there. Now, do I want to have a big stand on Ant today? Not really. It certainly scares me. I hate the matchup for him. But I have to assume that he enters this matchup today with a very different mindset. At the very least, you expect him to go bananas, or to try to go bananas. What that ends up being, I don't know. But I'm expecting to have a pretty decent Ant stand at the captain spot, which I don't love for the game script. But I do kind of love it if I'm just thinking about the way that I play this out. I'm happy to have a little bit more Mike Conley than the field, particularly at the utility spot. It's just the Mike Conley minutes for Minnesota have gone well. He's an organizing force out there. He's cooked-ish, but he does somehow hold them together in some way. And then it's a decent chunk of Case and Wallace for me as well, who's looked really good in this series. Defensively, taking on some really tough assignments. I think we're seeing Case and Wallace slowly take Lou Dort's role for next year. I'm expecting Lou Dort to not be a Thunder player next year. But we're getting solid defense out of Case and Wallace, and he's going to do a little bit of everything. But he's only 4,200, so you don't have to go too nuts. I know a lot of people are probably going to want to have a conversation about Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Now I'm slightly over the field on him. He had a monster game in game 4. 9 of 15 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 4 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals. We're talking about a guy that had a monster fourth quarter. I clearly don't expect that to continue. 29 minutes is not on my bingo card either. I have to assume that he's going to play more likely something in the 22-minute range. But he was great last time out as a value option. Now today, 3,400, 41% owned for Nickeil Alexander-Walker at the flex spot. I mean, that's not too crazy to me. I think that's the right value. I don't think that ownership is all that surprising. And as of right now, I'm still getting to a decent chunk of him. But we need to remember that he's probably not going to do that again. But as a value option, I think he's the first guy up for Minnesota. You can make a case it's Conley at 2,800. But I just think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be out there no matter what until he starts missing shots. What do you guys like today? Who stands out to you guys on today's slate? Gary says Chet. DiVincenzo. Conley seems like a trap. It's hard for Conley to be a trap. And I only say that because I don't think the current playing time that he has is going anywhere. It's just all about how many more minutes can he play. Because so far this series, in the 92 minutes that Mike Conley has played, they're plus 33. And that's with him being 1 for 10 from two and 6 of 20 from 3. But that's plus 17 per 100 possessions. They're shooting pretty well from 3 at 40%, but they're generating good shots. 62% true shooting. When Mike Conley's out there, he just organizes this team in a much better way. Like OKC's shooting 36% from 3 when Conley's on the floor. That's not... There's no, like, regression to the mean there. Shot quality's not ideal. They are missing some shots. It's more of the 2-point situation than anything else. But it's been working, man. It's been working. The odd thing is it's just not working with the starters. Edwards, McDaniels, Conley, Gobert, and Randle. They've played 45 minutes together. It's minus 19. But when Conley's out there with anybody else, it just improves. Oh, sorry. It's a positive 19. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. I'm looking at the opponent stats. They're plus 19 as the starting group. But I don't think they want to go to them. And I just don't think Conley has it in him to play more. But he does fascinate me. There are some guys on this slate that, like, I just don't have a take on. Like Jalen Williams, for example. I'm just happy to have him. I don't know if he's going to smash. I don't know if he's going to be neutral. I just don't have a take. Same thing for Caruso. I don't really have much of a lean. Those extra minutes kind of make me want to be lighter on him today just because. I don't really have a take there. DiVincenzo. I mean, DiVincenzo's always live to just be bombing threes. So you never really know. Like, I never want to count him out in scenarios. It's the guy that got up 10 threes per 75 possessions. He's a 40% three-point shooter for 3 years. That's real. And then I guess we're going to be getting some questions about Terrence Shannon. You know, he's 8% owned or something like that. 6% owned right now. Flat 1K is helpful. He played a 4-minute and 40-second stretch in the second quarter, and then he got another 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. Seems about right. He plays like 6 minutes today or something like that. He's fine. Like, it's hard for me to say much. Do we want to talk about, like, the most interesting thing about Terrence Shannon? Let me just ask chat first. What do you guys think about Terrence Shannon today? Is that a value play you guys want to go to at the flat 1K? Gary says no. Obil Diaz says yes. Spoonie Love says considering it. All right, you ready for this? Now, some of you have probably already seen this, so you don't have to answer, but does anybody know how old Terrence Shannon is? So I know we're thinking about it here and we're like, wow, getting good minutes out of a rookie. Yeah, he'll be 25 in July. He's older than Ant. He's a full year older than Anthony Edwards. He's a rookie this year. Obviously, this is Ant's 5th season in the NBA. But yeah, Terrence Shannon is older than Anthony Edwards. So, like, yeah, he's a rookie. And it's not as surprising that he can get some minutes in this situation. And he's looked, solid enough. I think defensively, he probably has something as we move forward. But the future for Terrence Shannon is not as bright as people probably think. Because 24-year-old rookies are a very different scenario. So don't be surprised to see him not play, although I do expect him to play. But if anybody's not going to be out there, it's certainly going to be him. I think he's a completely reasonable value option. I don't have much of a takeaway on Terrence Shannon. I got 7% of him. That's like what he's owned. That kind of just... He kind of just is what he is. Is there anybody that I haven't talked about yet that you guys want me to touch on? Anything you want me to dig into? Anything you want me to look at? Any specific guys or thoughts? Let me hit you up with the schedule for the rest of the day, which I hope I can do. And I can. Coming up next at 11 a.m., Laffy will be live for the MLB Strategy Show. Eric and Spags will be on Live Before Lock at 6:15 Eastern Time, taking you all the way up to Baseball Lock. And then Greg and I will be live at 7. Nope, that's not right. Greg and I will be live at 8 p.m. tonight for Live Before Lock. Let me send a message quick. Gary says Randle. Oh, you guys have all answered me now. Kenrich Williams, Randle, Kenrich. Yeah, I mean, I find Kenrich a little difficult to talk about. Currently projected for 14% ownership, $1,200. So if we want to talk about guys that are sort of like on his corner, you've got the potential of whatever Aaron Wiggins is. You've got Terrence Shannon, and then you've got Kenrich as your 1K guys. And then you've got like Isaiah Joe and Mike Conley in the 2Ks. I expect Kenrich Williams to play. I don't think he's coming out of the rotation, at least in the first half. My guess is you're getting something in the neighborhood of like 6 to 8 minutes of Kenrich Williams in the first half. Probably something in the neighborhood of 6. Whether he plays in the second half or not, completely dependent on how he's playing and what the game looks like. But he's a guy that can be out there with any combination of guys from the Thunder, because he can guard up and down the positional spectrum. He can shoot enough that it doesn't really matter who else is out there with him. 38.5% three-point shooter this year, 39.7 the year before. Dunks and threes has him as a much lower percentage skill shooter because he doesn't take a ton, takes like 5 per 75 possessions. But even if you want to call him a league average shooter, you don't leave him. And defensively, that's what he's out there for. So I'd be very surprised if he's not out there for at least a rotation. I would not be surprised at all if Aaron Wiggins took a second half rotation from him or vice versa. but he seems safe. Like, I think, him being 14% owned makes a lot of sense. You get anywhere in that like 10 to 20 range, that all makes perfect sense to me. Why didn't Wiggins play last game? Didn't need to, I guess. I don't know. I mean, they don't necessarily need his particular skill set for this series. I mean, I would disagree. I would be playing him a little bit more. I would probably play Aaron Wiggins over Isaiah Joe in this series, but he's just like defensively, they'd rather have Caruso or Case and Wallace. And I think they prefer Joe's shooting to Wiggins. So he kind of just gets boxed out by specifics of skill set. Because, like, if let's say you've got your starters in. You've got Dort, Hartenstein, J-Dub, SGA, and Chet out there. Well, if you're looking for defense, obviously Alex Caruso is the first guy up. And we're talking about maybe the best perimeter defender we've seen in the past 20 years. We could have that conversation if we want to. Let's just say very, very good. So you're going to him first. And if it's not Caruso, like if you need to guard someone bigger, you're going to Caruso. If you're going smaller, you can go to Case and Wallace. So it's going to be hard for Wiggins to pass those guys. Caruso is good enough offensively as like a, secondary creator if the first action fails. He's a good enough 3-point shooter. Takes about 5 per 75 possessions, somewhere in the league average range. So you're not leaving him. Similar situation for Wallace. And then, if we're talking about shooting, no matter how good you think Aaron Wiggins can be offensively, Isaiah Joe is one of the best 3-point shooters in basketball. We're talking about a guy that gets up 9 to 10 per 75 possessions, 41, 41, and 41% over the past 3 years. So if you need shooting, that's just where you go. And all of a sudden, Aaron Wiggins is just sort of falling by the wayside. It's an embarrassment of riches, really, because if Aaron Wiggins were on pretty much any other team, he'd be playing quite a bit now. He'd be playing for Minnesota. He'd be playing for the Knicks, for sure. He could play for the Pacers. Tango Hotel. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Tony Allen, quite good. I tend to give a little bit more credit to Caruso for being better offensively, which I know is not a way that people want to look at that, but it is a way that I do. But, I mean, he's insane as a perimeter defender, which I love to see. Let's see, what would Tony Allen's best defensive year be? Tony Allen, BB ref. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Aaron Wiggins is like next level. Like, he's like the homeless version of J-Dub. All right, let's see. DPOY. We can go like, it's probably like 2010, 2011. I want to look at his Rap'em. Yeah, -2, 98th percentile. Yeah, the 2011 season, Tony Allen had a -2.8 defensive X Rap'em. I mean, that's 98th percentile. It doesn't get much better than that. Alex Caruso for this season, -4.6 X Rap'em. This dude is just so damn good defensively. There aren't too many dudes that are better than him, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, Tony Allen was amazing. Not a fun dude that you want to run up against. But, you know, Tony Allen also played like in a very different era. That's for sure. Man, that dude was death to opposing ball handlers. Absolute death. Good for him. Just looking through Tony Allen's stats now. So good. Anyway, let's build a lineup quickly and then get out of here. Build one on DraftKings, build one on FanDuel. Here we go. And don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't done it yet, guys. Let's see what we can build. The goal is positive on the first try. There is no debate to me on what I'm doing right here. That is going to be Anthony Edwards into the captain spot. If I need value, I'm going to go to Kenrich Williams. And I'm going to get Cason Wallace. Feels like I have to get Shea. So if I get Shea, what do I complete with? I complete with J-Dub and Caruso. 5-1 OKC stack, but Ant in the captain. This will be positive. Positive enough. Take the 5.8. If I take out Caruso and J-Dub, is there a better way to do that? My guess is no. Caruso is the seventh best value overall. J-Dub is right there as well. But if I go to Conley, it's just not going to complete. There's nobody better, right? Yeah, the problem is the J-Dub piece. So it can't be Conley, which means I think I need to go out and get rid of Cason Wallace. That still allows, maybe, can I go Chet? If I go Chet there, I can complete with McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker 3-3. I think this one will be negative, but I'm going to take credit for the 5%er on the first one. I think that's a negative change. Yeah, slightly negative. If I refresh it, it might run, but we got a positive on the first DraftKings try. Now we'll get a positive on the first FanDuel try. MVP spot. What's the salary get? 1,200. I'm going J-Dub MVP, which is going to force me to leave Shea out, but I'm okay with it. Let's give me Ant. Give me Mike Conley and Dort. And if I complete there, that gives me, oh, it still gives me Shea. Gives me Shea and Wallace, $400 left. This will be positive. Might be too much ownership, but I think it'll be positive. Yeah, negative 17. Kind of felt like that was what we were about to get. Take out Shea. Take out Wallace. If I get Chet. Actually, if I get Randle, what do I complete with? I can get Randle and Chet. This one might be positive. Depends on if Shea plus Cason Wallace is better. Nope, it's absolutely better. Starting to feel like I have to have Shea. Chet, Randle, what's left? Wallace. All right, what if it's not Randle? What if it's Chet, Gobert, Caruso, or Naz Reed? Oh, I'm going to have so much money left over. So McDaniels, 5K left. I'm going to try Wallace here. I think this will be negative as well. Yeah. Tough to hunt this one down. Maybe it's not. I'm going to try Ant and the captain again, which will allow me to go and get Shea. And then I'll grab Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and I'll complete with Chet and Caruso. 800 on the table. Ooh, this might be too much ownership. It's going to be, I don't know, -4 or 5, something like that. -8. Emwald, I don't know, not much to say. I mean, he had one of the best playoff games we've ever seen. In terms of over the last 10 years, based on the daily Rapham estimate, the Dre score, it's basically a game score. It was the 5th best offensive game, tied for the 5th best offensive game in the playoffs over the past 10 years. Behind Dame in 2021, who played 52 minutes. Kevin Durant in 2021, which we all remember, never came off the floor. Harden in 2023, 42, 9, and 8 in just shy of 48 minutes. And then Tatum against Philly. Is that the game 7? 2023, 41 and a half minutes, scored 50 real points. Then you get to Halliburton. Same Dre score as Jimmy Butler in 2022 against Boston. Now, the game that I personally think is the best basketball game I ever played shows up as 7th here. That is June 16th, 2016. LeBron James, 41, 11, and 8. That's the best basketball game I've ever seen anybody play. I think, at least. So damn good. That's just I mean, LeBron's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the best games we've ever seen. I don't have anything to say about it. Like, he's just incredible. He doesn't turn the ball over. He gets every single one of his teammates involved. I was nervous about him coming into this year. I didn't know how to project him because that quad injury was so real last year. I mean, he became a shell of himself, and I didn't know if he was going to crack back out of that. And holy shit, did he. He's right back to where he was at the beginning of last year when we were all just like, oh my God, is this guy the second best offensive player in the world? He just might be at this point. It's a shame that if the Pacers make the finals, the narrative coming out of that series probably won't be too kind to Tyrese Halliburton, because it's going to be a very different experience with the OKC defense compared to the Knicks defense. And he'll probably catch some strays that he really shouldn't catch. Travis, it was 13 players that voted him as overrated. It's not, it was never a story. It's not a story. He was like, 10%. He had his percentage of the votes was like 10%, but that was the highest. Basically like 90% of the people didn't pick him. The way that entire thing got framed was so stupid. Alrighty, we're gonna pack it in, folks. MLB Strategy Show coming up next. Lofty live, breaking down the baseball slate for today. Keep your eyes peeled to everything we've got going on. Follow me on Twitter. If you're a sports bettor or a pick'em site guy, I am posting a betting card for every single boost or promo that I can find at all the books and pick'em sites. If I can find a card that I can put together, I'm posting the boost and I'm posting the card. So if you want to follow that every morning, follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. For now, I'm out of here, guys.